Hi everyone, this is Miss Carballo, and today we're going to look at reviewing order of operations and what those mean now that you're in seventh grade. So this, you might have learned GEMDAS or PEMDAS or GEMS, whichever way you say it. This is the order that you have to solve problems in. So if we're looking at um, a big long problem that has any grouping symbols, then you have to solve those first. So in elementary school, that P meant parentheses. Now we probably are going to change it to a G to mean grouping symbols, because look at all the grouping symbols that it includes. These are parentheses. These are called brackets, and so are these. And they're just another set of parentheses. It means the same as parentheses. These are absolute value bars. So these are a little bit different, right? Because this is asking for the absolute value of a number, how far away from zero that number is. These are just grouping numbers together. A square root symbol is kind of like a grouping symbol, as in you have to do what's ever underneath that radical symbol first. And then a fraction bar is a grouping symbol. Basically, it groups everything that's on the top of the fraction, and it groups everything that's on the bottom of the fraction. And you have to do those operations before you do the division for the fraction bar. So that the G is going to be a lot more involved this year, step one, than it was in elementary school. You're going to have a lot more grouping symbols. Okay. Step two is simplify all the exponents. So remember that 3 to the second power is not 6, right? It's 3 times 3, which is 9. So just remember, when we're doing exponents, that tells you how many times to multiply the base. The third step is solving all multiplication and division, whichever comes first, left to right. Multiplication is not done first. So that's why we don't really love PEMDAS, just because it makes you think you always do multiplication first. But that is not the case. Multiplication and division are on the same step. You do whatever comes first, left to right. In this case, we would divide first and do 6 divided by 2, which is 3, before we did 3 times 3, which is 9. Same thing with addition and subtraction. You're not always doing addition first. In this problem right here, subtraction is going to be done first because it comes first in the problem. And then I'm going to add because it's first in the problem. And then I'm going to subtract. All right, so let's look at some problems. All right, so here we have an expression. We need to simplify using order of operations. So we're going to do grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication or division, addition or subtraction. This fraction bar means it's a grouping symbol. I need to do whatever's on top first, and then I need to divide it by whatever my answer is on the bottom. So I'm going to do 12 minus 4, which is 8. And then I'm going to do 8 divided by 4, which is 2. So since I've simplified this to a 2, I'm going to make this 2 right here, and then I'm going to copy down the rest of my problem. So it's important, now that you're going to have much longer expressions, to do one step at a time. One step at a time and copy down the rest of the problem. So now I have subtraction to do because it comes first in the problem. Left to right, one step at a time. See how I only did one operation? I'm even underlining it. And then I'm going to do addition because it comes next in the problem. So I've got 32. And then 32 minus 2 is my last step. And this is 29. So I've created this, what I call like a funnel or an upside down triangle or a pizza slice or a Dorito chip, whatever you want to call it. It has simplified down to its smallest way, and that's one number here, after doing the correct order of operations. So we didn't just go left to right, we had to follow the order of operations. All right, let's try number 2. All right, so number 2, looks like this. And this is on your paper. So see if you can solve it as I'm going through these steps, right? Think about grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication or division, addition or subtraction. So I do see grouping symbols. I see these grouping symbols. I see these grouping symbols. And I see a fraction bar. And all of those are grouping symbols. So I need to do what's inside of these grouping symbols before I multiply this answer by 5. And I know this is multiplication because there's nothing outside between the 5 and the bracket. So I know this is going to be multiplication, but I have to do everything inside of here first. So inside of the brackets, there are these parentheses that I'm going to do first. And then I'm going to copy down everything that's not in those parentheses so that I'm doing one step at a time. Because if you try to rush these and do 2 steps, it sometimes just doesn't work. There's a lot of steps to be done here. All right, so now I've done the parentheses. Now I have to take care of this answer because it's division. And technically this is multiplication, right? And I said to do multiplication left to right, but this is a fraction bar, and you can do this first before we do this multiplication because it's a grouping symbol. It's considered a grouping symbol, not a division symbol, kind of. Okay, copy down the rest. Then I've got 3 times -3. And I just put that in parentheses because it just kind of looks weird in math when you have a times sign and a negative sign right next to each other. But there's really nothing to do in there, right? It's just a -3. And then I have to I'm still not done with my brackets, so I can't take them away until I'm all done. And this is my last step inside the brackets. And that's 3 times -3, which is -9. And I said that this is going to be multiplied. Whatever my answer was inside the brackets would be multiplied by the 5. And 5 times -9, that is my last step, is -45. All right, let's go to number 3. And if you're looking at number 3 and you kind of want to get started before I start explaining the steps, that would be a great idea. Maybe pause the video here and see if you could do some of these steps on your own. So I'm going to talk through this first. Always look for grouping symbols, right? Multiplication or division, addition or subtraction. All right, so grouping symbols. I see these here, these brackets here. I also see a fraction bar. So I'm going to do what's inside of these brackets. So I'm going to do what's inside of these brackets first. And this fraction bar tells me that I need to do whatever's on the top and then divide it by whatever's on the bottom of when I simplify. So 20 minus 2 is 18, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So this answer to these parentheses are 3. If I want to keep my parentheses there, I can, but I'm going to copy down the whole rest of the problem. Right? I actually don't need those parentheses, but I'll leave them there just to help me separate, I guess. Now I've got addition, subtraction, and addition, so I'm going to do addition first because it comes first in the problem, left to right. 7 plus 3 is 10, and then I'm going to copy down the rest of my problem so that I don't skip any steps. And then I'm going to do subtraction because it comes first in the problem left to right, and 10 minus 18 is -8. And then I'm going to do my last step, -8 plus 4, which is -4. So see how I've got this kind of Dorito chip because I go one step at a time. And now that you're in higher math, it's going to be a longer expression like this. All right, so let's try this last one. Okay, so here's our last one. So remember, I'm looking for grouping symbols, then I'm doing exponents, multiply or divide, add or subtract. So I do see this big fraction bar, which is a grouping symbol. It groups everything on the top and everything on the bottom, and you divide those 2 answers at the end. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do 2 Dorito chips, one going up and one going down because it's a big fraction. And inside of the top part, I have exponents plus addition and multiplication. I'm going to do my exponents first because that comes before everything else after grouping symbols. So what am I left with on the top? 5 plus 2 times 2 times 2. Remember, 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, and 8 times 2. So now I have addition and a multiplication. I'm going to do my multiplication first. So 8 times 2 is 16. I'm going to copy down what's left up there. So my top answer is 21. And I really don't have a Dorito chip on the bottom because it's already simplified down to one answer. So our number on the bottom is -7 because there's nothing else, right? This is a very small Dorito chip right there. So, and then I've just got division left. A fraction bar means division. So 21 divided by -7 is -3. All right, guys. Hope that little review helped. We're going to do some more order of operations this year.